Game stacks are officially back on the menu for week number 7 in NFL DFS. That, to me, is the key to this slate, because we talked last week about how we didn't really know where we want to go at quarterback, and it was a pretty big issue. I know exactly where I want to go at quarterback in week 7. So a very different slate this week. A lot of mid-range running backs I think grade out pretty well too. So we're going to dive into this week 7 main slate, identify who exactly those quarterbacks are, which games we want to stack, and our top plays at each position on FanDuel for this week. Welcome on into the Heat Check, a FanDuel Research podcast. My name is JimSannes. I am a managing editor for FanDuel Research, joined here as I am every Thursday by Brandon Gdula. Find him on X at Gdula13. He is on Blue Sky at Gdula. Check out his work at FanDuel Research, where he is a senior managing editor. Brandon, pretty pumped about this slate because we actually got some games I want to stack. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Usually I roll right into I kind of just blurt out the slate overview and think about how you kind of set me up for it. I feel like often. But I'm fighting off the tiredness because it's getting dark too early. So that's where I am. But I got some pick me up, so I'm ready to go. Even, for me, this is like my
pick me ups. Are we talking like 1980s Major League Baseball? Like one coffee maker has like the meth in it and the other one doesn't. Like what kind of pick me ups are we discussing here? Are we getting flagged on YouTube for talking about that? Anyway, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I was just I had some coffee. That's about it. So,
okay,
I drink coffee all the time, but had a little extra today and moving into decaf. But yeah, I don't know where to go from here. I was just commenting that it's getting dark early and,
I have the issue where it's because I'm adjusting to living in a different part of the central time zone. Like in Chicago, it's on like the eastern side of the time zone. Like we were in Syracuse, we were in Boston, like those are on the eastern edge of the time zone. Kansas is not. And so it is very dark, very late. I had to, this is going to sound like the nerdiest thing of all time. I had to buy lights for my bike. I'm not on the road, so I'm not in danger, but I literally can't see in the morning when I go biking. I was afraid I was going to hit a deer on my bike in the morning because I just can't see. I'm just not used to how late the sun rises here. It doesn't mean it sets later, but I'm the biggest dweeb. I bought gloves because I got cold. I got chilly on my bike too. So I've gone full dweeb is my transformation as a result partially of what you were saying with the sun being weird at this point in the year.
I feel like now someone's going to be like a big cyclist and be like, man, I wear gloves and this guy's calling me a
be dweeb. A dweeb with me. We can be dweebs together. It is okay. Dweeb is not a bad thing unless it's self-deprecating, but all you cyclers in the comments, I'm sure there are thousands of you. We stand together.
Is it cycler or cyclist?
I don't know, man. Don't ask me to go that far into it. I'll consult with the gloves, and the spirit in the gloves will tell me.
You know what? What I'm realizing, I should have just talked about the slate, and then I could have just rehashed the slate over.
We got to meth, we got to dweebs, we got to bicyclists. We're destroying the YouTube algorithm for today. The transcript on this is going to be bananas, and I'm very excited for people reading that later on. We will eventually talk some NFL DFS for today, break down some game stacks we like, key injuries to monitor, trends we're keeping an eye on, including some thoughts on that mid-range running back, and then we'll go through our top plays at each position on FanDuel for this week. But first, a reminder to make sure you're subscribed to the FanDuel Research podcast feed on Apple or Spotify, but also the FanDuel Football Betting YouTube page, because there you can find our betting content via Covering the Spread. Had Liv Moods on today to break down her thoughts on NFL week number 7. Favorite bets there for her. Aiden Cotter will join me tomorrow talking some NFL player props for week 7. And of course, we already had our chat with Kent Tadgett breaking down week 8 in college football. Very fun slate there. All those shows on the FanDuel Football Betting YouTube page. Subscribe there and turn on notifications. Leave us a thumbs up, but also FanDuel Research Podcast feed, Apple Podcasts or Spotify. 5-star rating there. We appreciate everyone tuning in as always. FanDuel's getting you ready for kickoff with an offer you won't want to miss. New customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet $5, and if it wins, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use all across the app. You can build parlays, bet player props, ride the live lines, whatever your style, FanDuel has you covered. NFL season is finally here. Only question is, are you ready to play? Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-79-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat Connecticut. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Help is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Let's dig in now to that slate overview for week number 7. Break down our key things we are monitoring for this week, the key trends, whatever it may be for week 7. Brandon, when I talk to you about this slate, what to you are the things that stand out most for week 7?
I want to find value plays that I feel good with. I feel like there are a lot of guys I can talk myself into, but the reason that I care so much is because I know you're going to talk about like mid-range running backs. I don't know. I feel like I might be alone in this a little bit, where to me, it feels like the running backs at the high end are priorities this week.
Okay.
More like a classic kind of heat check situation. 2 guys in this sort of proverbial smash spot to me in terms of workload, and Jonathan Taylor and Josh Jacobs. I'll talk more about the Packers later on, but they're salaried where they should be for how good their roles are, how good their red zone roles are. JT's 10,000 to roster, Jacobs at 92 for his salary. Like, we're going to talk quarterbacks. There's a couple, and there's no Lamar, there's no Josh Allen, but there's still kind of dual threat quarterbacks to salary up for. And what I don't love, like my absolute least favorite thing when building lineups, is getting to value plays that I just shrug and say, well, in order to play the guys I want, I got to make concessions, and I'm going to play someone who I don't believe in.
Okay.
So I really want to, by the end of the show, I want to feel like I lock in on a couple values. That might not happen. I'm not going to force anything. But if that's the case, then I have to reconfigure how I want to play the slate in order to play it a little bit smarter.
Well, it sounds like I am higher on those mid-range / lower salaried backs than you may be. So I'll talk you into them later on. And I want to use them to get to guys like JT and Jacobs, because I agree with you. They're in really, really good positions, but also I want to get to the quarterbacks, because that's my slate overview here is, again, I know what I want to do a quarterback this week. There are 3 guys I am enthusiastic to use versus last week. My quarterback 1 was a begrudging quarterback 1. And I'm very much in a different spot this week, and I'm excited to use these guys, excited to stack these games up, both for the quarterbacks, but also the running backs. So we're going to dig in and break down that throughout the show for today. Let's begin things, though, by going through the injuries impacting this Week 7 main slate. And oh boy, there are a lot of them. Luckily, the first one, not an injury. That is Rashee Rice is eligible to return from a 6-game suspension on Sunday. The Chiefs host the Raiders, who are expected to be without Brock Bowers once again this week. We'll talk about that game in the bookmaker section. It is a delight to welcome you back to the bookmaker section, Kansas City Chiefs. Chuba Hubbard returned to practice for the Panthers on Wednesday. First practice for him since sustaining his calf injury. Rico Dowdle is blown up without Hubbard. Dave Canales opened the door for Dowdle to remain the lead back when Hubbard does return. Brandon, let's assume that Hubbard does play. Are you out on Rico Dowdle at $7,800 against the Jets?
I'm going to say yes, with the caveat that I will check the FanDuel Sportsbook props by Sunday morning and see what the vibe is. Yeah. I think that's a very easy way to get a lot of information, kind of sift through things. Most likely, no. I don't know. Dowdle's been phenomenal in some, softer spots. Yeah. This team is really committed long-term to Chuba Hubbard. So I don't think that it's going to be a situation where he just gets dusted. And now that the salary is up at $7,800 for Dowdle, there's not enough for me to want to get there. I think it'll be a split. And I can use running backs who are in a split when their salaries are low enough and when they're efficient enough. And I don't think we get either here. The
the Panthers offense has been good, and they're good running the football specifically, but the Jets have actually been pretty good against the run this year, at least based on like success rate allowed to running backs. So it's a good week to back off. I'll gain information on the Panthers this week, and I think that's good enough for me. We're all back off there. Cowboys got both CeeDee Lamb and Kevontae Turpin back at practice on Wednesday. Lamb has missed the past 3 games, with Turpin missing the past 2. Terry McLaurin returned to practice Wednesday as he tries to come back from a quad injury. Commanders did place Noah Brown on IR with a groin injury. We salute a hero, Noah Brown, keeping some dynasty teams afloat the past couple of years. Thank you for your service. We'll talk about that game in the bookmakers section. Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. both practiced Wednesday. I was surprised by that personally. Murray has a foot injury. Harrison coming back from a concussion. I had assumed that Marv would sit. So that's very noteworthy because typically when a player is limited Wednesday with a concussion, their odds of playing are much, 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 much higher than they would be if he were out. So that's interesting. Meanwhile, Amari DiMercato and Zay Jones both missed practice. Bam Knight was limited. So a lot of moving pieces with the Cardinals. How are you viewing them here against the Packers?
I mean, we'll start with the running back situation. Like, there's a long way around to get back, I guess, to Michael Carter potentially. He's not been very efficient, which is a thing, but he might be the last man standing. And despite the reports that Bam Knight was going to run ahead of Michael Carter did start that game. He played 56% of the first half snaps. I think the DiMercato injury kind of put Knight into the Carter role and Carter into the DiMercato role a bit. So he wasn't a 3-down back, but frankly, if there's anyone on the team who could probably do it based on that usage, I feel like it's him. So it's a matter of how much do we like this offense? Carter's salary at $5,500 could easily be a 18 touch, 60-yard game, no touchdowns, and you're not going to do much in a tournament unless you use that salary to nail like every other spot. So I'm not completely out on Carter, but if there's no Knight, let's say, and it's just Carter running by himself, where would you be with him? But I'm just saying, like, if we do,
yeah, I'd be high on him just because like there's no one left. But if it's Jacoby Brissett, I'd be a lot lower because I know he played well last week, but like the longer term data on Brissett is bad. Yeah. And I don't think the situation is good enough for a like fine backup quarterback to be efficient. So it's a bad situation if it's, in my eyes at least, if it's Brissett again.
Yeah, and if we get Knight, then it's just a no. So the only thing worth asking about was in this situation where Carter's by himself. And I agree I'd get there. As far as the pass catchers go, I was kind of hoping that, and like, I don't know, I was just kind of hoping that we got McBride as like the true alpha wide receiver 1 for this team to fill a tight end slot. So I don't know. I'm out on Kyler. I'm not going to play Marv. Salary is still 67. Yeah. McBride, boy, he shot up to 6,900. I didn't even realize that.
If he were still 64, I'd be a bit more interested than that. But he did not stay at 64.
He did not. So you're asking it's at home, but there's a very good defense.
Yeah.
Like, what is there to like?
Yeah. If it's 100, like, yeah, if they play, it boosts the Packers, which is great, which I'd love.
Yeah.
So it'd be a more fun game stack. Like, I have the over in this game, even with Murray assumed out. So if you put Kyler in there, and like, yeah, he's not perfect, but like he's better than Brissett in my eyes. So I would be more into Jordan Love, more into the pass catchers there, which we'll talk about later on, if we do get that situation to break that way. The Vikings have yet to name a starter this week against the Eagles. Both J.J. McCarthy and Carson Wentz practiced on Wednesday, but Wentz full, McCarthy limited. That's going to lead me to think that Wentz will start this week. They'll have to deal with Jalen Carter, who practiced in full on Wednesday after missing week 6. Cornerback Quinyon Mitchell, limited with a hamstring injury. I initially had a downgrade in for the Eagles defense. I thought one of them would sit, and it turns out neither will, so that's not great. So what's your interest level in the Vikings coming out of their bye?
Oh, this team is... This team's like kind of a head scratcher because you just don't. I mean, first of all, we don't know what we're getting in terms of the quarterback, but also we don't really. we don't really know what we're getting in terms of the quarterback play because the sample size on McCarthy is so small that if it is him, we still the jury's still out and we can't really make any sweeping declarations on how good JJ McCarthy will be in this spot. And for Carson Wentz, he's been kind of solid by the metrics, above average once you adjust for efficiency, high success rate, takes a lot of sacks though. And that could lead to killed drives and putting the ball back into the hands of a team that just still, Philadelphia's been throwing the ball a lot more lately. So there's that. They also have a lot of 3-and-outs too. So I was going to say maybe this is a game where it's a lot of 3-and-outs for Minnesota. Philly just bleeds the clock and there's not a whole lot here. Despite all those concerns, I still think from this side of the ball, Justin Jefferson's interesting. It's going to be hard to prioritize him over someone like Josh Jacobs at a similar salary.
Yeah.
But when it comes to a tournament standpoint, I think that there's enough here to like Jefferson, which is such an easy thing to say, but he's still been productive despite swapping quarterbacks and playing with the guy who just joined the team days before the season started. So I'd like that. I don't know where else I'd be though on this side.
It's hard to love this game given that there are a lot of games I do like this week and both defenses are very, very good, especially with the Eagles' key players being healthy. I don't mind Devontae Smith and Jordan Addison simply because their salaries are low and they have upside. That's the only appeal for me. Median expectation with them is not good, but ceiling is good for that salary. So not a cash game consideration for either guy, but for tournaments, I don't mind that, especially if I pair them together in a game stack, a little mini stack there. But outside of that, this game is not my favorite on the board by any means. Colts did not have either Josh Downs or Ashton Dulin, your boy, at practice on Wednesday. Downs has a concussion, which is concerning. Didn't realize that happened during the game on Sunday, I guess. Dulin has a chest injury. Other side of that game, Quentin Johnston limited again for the Chargers due to a hamstring injury. I'd expect him back this week, given he practiced last week too. We'll talk about them in the bookmaker section. DJ Moore is day to day after suffering a groin injury on Monday night. He had to go to the hospital for the game, though the reason has not been stated as of yet. Didn't practice Wednesday. How do you view the Bears, who are playing in heavy wins, one of several places with that being true, if Moore were to sit out this week?
Yeah, wins back on the menu for this week. I would probably Rome Odunze should, in theory, be treated like a true alpha wide receiver one in this spot. Salary though is $7,800. So as much as I like Rome long term, that is, I don't know who's a good I was gonna say Brian Thomas early in the year of you got to get everything right in an offense that I still don't fully trust at 78.
Old school Jackson Smith and Jigba kind of, where it's he's playing in these terrible games and the offense is just fine. And it's not that the Bears offense is fine. It's more so that the wind is going to torpedo that game is my bigger concern there.
What I would have the most interest in, Alameda Zaccheaus has been he's been running some routes, getting some targets, but I think the biggest opportunity would be for Luther Burden. Salary is only $4,900. Yeah. He's at a 7.5% target share on the year, but clearly you can't just copy paste that if there's no DJ Moore. Interestingly to me, he's at a 27.3% target per route rate. So I basically say 30% is elite. He's at 27%, which means that when he's running routes in his limited sample, they're looking his way.
Yeah.
And he's been a low ADOT guy. It's under 6. So
he's like screens though, because they want the ball in his hand, I think.
Yeah. So with the win situation, with a roll increase, I could see Luther Burden 49. Is he one of those guys that I'm just talking myself into to make lineups work? Or is there more to it than that? And he had a really strange, just draft process. He was
he did.
Very highly touted high school prospect, did not really go early.
Offense and the NFL didn't function at all last year. He was awesome when he was young. It's weird. Yeah. Weird is the right word for it.
So it's just I think there's enough here at 49. If there's no more, which again, it's kind of just odd, that situation.
Yeah.
But I think Burden could unlock a lot for lineups this week.
I agree. I'm willing to use him this week as things stand. If DJ Moore does not play, which I'm assuming he will not as of now, I'm willing to use Luther Burden personally. The Jets will not have Garrett Wilson this week after he suffered a knee injury in London. Josh Reynolds also missed practice on Wednesday with an undisclosed injury, which means the Jets depth chart may be like Alan Lazard, who didn't travel to London for personal reasons. Not sure what that is. Didn't travel to London for personal reasons. It could be Tyler Johnson, who's been a healthy scratch this year. Could be Arian Smith, who was like a guy drafted for his speed, but now suddenly may have to like be a target guy. Their depth chart is weird. Are you willing to take a swipe at any Jets pass catcher, not receiver being a key phrase there against the Panthers?
Yeah. Mason Taylor.
Yeah.
Salary's $4,700, 19% target per route rate for the year. He's running a lot of routes, 69% for the season. This Panthers team is an outlier in terms of player level adjusted fantasy points per game allowed to tight ends. So we've been on the train lately of allocating heavy salary to tight ends in recent weeks because we've had I don't know, and we can argue semantics, and I'm sure we will, but like mid-range running backs in like the 6K range, that's not quite a value to me. That's like sort of mid-range. I don't even know what I call this, 7,000, like somewhere in between. But this week, I think we have a couple options, and we're going to talk about more in terms of the tight ends, and not to get ahead of ourselves, but Tyler Warren at 7,000, he's like a sicko, which is awesome. Trey McBride, though, 69, as we talked about. Jake Ferguson probably going to lose a lot of targets. So this might be a week where it's like value tight end. And Mason Taylor, despite this offense not impressing, is a name I'm going to look at. What about you?
Same. They said they wanted to get him more involved and then did. Like teams will say that and then not do it, but they did. Obviously not a lot in London, but like the Broncos defense is good, man. I don't want to care too much about that personally. Like you said, the Panthers, that's not the strength. Their defense is stopping opposing tight ends. Pretty good against the run right now, but like not stopping opposing tight ends. So Mason Taylor 47, if it allows me to get to guys like Jonathan Taylor more often, if it allows me to get to CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, all those guys, Jaden Daniels, Dak Prescott, like I want that in my life. So I wanted to go there. I think that I'd prefer to get to Tyler Warren because he is, like you said, a sicko, and I want to use him every time he's on the slate. But like Taylor might be tight end. He's in the tight end 2 consideration set is what I would say.
Yeah. And he's going from what I have as the toughest adjusted tight end matchup in Denver to the easiest by
the Broncos are the toughest matchup for everything. Like they don't allow any rushing yards to quarterbacks. They don't allow anything to tight ends. Like it's absurd.
Yeah. It's so I think, look, I'm looking for values. And to be honest, as much as I love Tyler Warren, I like Trey McBride in a lot of spots. Jake Ferguson's been good to us. I would rather spend down to to roster tight ends. And this is probably going to be the one of the value areas that I'm just like, you know what? I can't get to the studs this week. And I have multiple options, and that's how I'm going to play it.
Multiple options being the key phrase there, because we also could get a lower salary tight end via the Cleveland Browns. David Njoku mispracticed Wednesday with a knee injury. I would bet that he's on the wrong side of questionable for this week. Harold Fannin Jr., salary is $5,500. He's been getting targets all year long. Now may have no Njoku. This game stinks. Actually might be like gale force wins for this game, but I'd still be okay with Fannin just based on the way he gets his usage. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, Miami's worse than average against tight ends once you adjust for who they've faced. He's already at a 17% target share in 2 games with Dylan Gabriel. And David Njoku's he's had a phenomenal role, especially with Gabriel. 31% red zone share and target per route rate, which is just pretty great stuff for a tight end. So we're looking for, at this point in the year, we kind of know who teams are, who players are. You don't really catch a lot of that, like, this guy's like just being criminally under or over salaried.
Right.
What we need to look for is just clear week to week role changes. Correct. And I know it sounds silly to say like, oh, this tight end had 10 targets last week, but he's in line for a role change. Like, he's probably going to, I don't know, Who would you take over him to get more targets this week at tight end? Like, I don't know if there's anybody I would really pound the table for.
Maybe Mason Taylor. Like it might be those two guys competing for the top. I guess McBride too. But
I was going to say McBride. Yeah. But the fact that Fannin, and you can't just say every target is the same. Like,
right.
But I think Fannin does more for me than Taylor, despite the wind, just because I don't know. I feel like he's going to get more of the creative touches and high leverage work.
I almost made a joke about trusting Dylan Gabriel more than Justin Fields, but it made me really sad. So I kept that one. That was an inside thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said it out loud, but
no, just between friends. We're in the trust tree. It's okay. Yeah. Calvin Ridley didn't practice Wednesday due to a hamstring injury. The Titans also fired head coach Brian Callahan this week prior to facing their old coach, Mike Vrabel. Timing on that, sure, it's coincidental. Nothing to see there. Does Ridley being out, if he is out, make you interested in Alec Iomanner or anyone else? Or are the Titans still a full avoid for you against the Patriots?
Ooh, I think I'm going to go more toward the avoid. What's his salary?
53.
53. Like Iomanner or Burden?
Burden.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, and you also pointed out it's a tough matchup individually.
Yeah, because Christian Gonzalez is back. He didn't play great his first game back, but has been better since then. So it's individual matchup perspective is not ideal. Like I used Iomanner the week they faced the Cardinals, which didn't go well, but like I was okay with him in that setup. So I'm broadly receptive to him and his workload, especially if there's no Ridley. But some red flags, given the matchup, given the offense and stuff like that.
Yeah, I still don't like. I understand like the potential concept of this team's going to rally. There were just reports that this team wasn't very motivated, and I want the best for all these NFL teams, and sometimes just the fit's not right, and so maybe they come out and play well above expectation. Iomanner's a good football player. I think long term he's in a good spot.
Yeah,
I don't know if this is the week that I want to tie a lot of lineups to a Titans offense. The Patriots, this is their third straight road game, but it's a pretty good team. Maybe Tennessee's playing catch up here, so I understand it from that perspective. So he's definitely on the list, but he's not near a priority play.
Below Burden for me, below Alec Pierce is in that range. Shocker that I would like Alec Pierce, but below him in that range. So I think they're better options among lowest salary receivers. He's in consideration set, but that's as far as I can go. Darius Slayton missed practice Wednesday with a hamstring injury. He sat out week 6 because of that. Giants facing the Broncos. I used to call Fred Warner, RIP, the black hole. Shout out to our king, our legend. But the Broncos' entire defense might be the new black hole at this point. So we're avoiding this passing game, given the matchup for the Giants.
Yeah, they're by far the best adjusted receiver defense in the league for me based on fantasy points and who they allowed. Like, I had a very keen interest in Wan'Dale Robinson for season long. And boy, he scored a long touchdown, longish, but it was Jackson Dart making things happen. You can't just like remove the good plays, but there wasn't a whole lot else for Wan'Dale with the 7 targets against the Eagles on Thursday night. Potentially he gets a 10 target game. Now he had a 10 target game against Dallas, but as a different quarterback. I like Jackson Dart. I think he's fun. I don't know if he's great to support fantasy receivers. So with all this set, like I'm trying to talk myself into Wan'Dale, just saying, hey, he's going to get 12 targets. He's going to get there. I just respect this defense too much to want to risk it. This
is not the spot for it. You know how much I love a good revenge game. It is a Lil Jordan Humphrey revenge game against the Broncos. Even the revenge game of as monumental as a Lil Jordan Humphrey revenge game against the Broncos is, I still can't get there. So despite that, it's going to be a pass for me as well.
we're probably going to gloss over his name later, so we might as well I'm going to ask you here. Where are you with Cam Scadaboo?
I might have a trend discussing mid-range running backs and their usages, and he might be in there. So we'll talk about Cam Scadaboo at that point. I appreciate the setup, though. Both Tavian Wicks and Christian Watson were limited in practice on Wednesday. Watson coming off a torn ACL. He did practice throughout last week. Wicks hurt his ankle last week, but is trending towards playing. You'll talk about the Packers in the trend section. First, though, let's dive in to the game stacks for this week. And as mentioned, we got some goodies to check out. And that begins with my favorite game of the year so far. That is the Washington Commanders taking on the Dallas Cowboys in Dallas. Going to deal with the sun in this game. That might be the only downside to this one. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook, this total 54.5, and the spread is the Commanders by 1.5 here. We are likely to get both Terry McLaurin and CeeDee Lamb back for this game. Probably Kevontae Turpin too. So both these offenses getting healthier. Brandon, I adore this game. How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, love this game. Just need to figure out the right priority combo. Like, we can do a why not both, the Por qué no los dos situation, but it feels like I had these guys with Dak and CD and Pickens, but I played Debo and not Terry in it, like that kind of thing. But that's a good situation to be in, because frankly, a lot of these other games I don't love.
Correct. A lot of cross-offs this week.
Couple cross-offs, couple and this game we're about to talk about next is not my cup of tea, really. Okay. For a lot of reasons. It's not out. We'll get there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, this one, it's just about figuring out who you prefer. And I understand loving Jaden Daniels indoors, getting healthier with his pass catchers, but Dak at home is like a different quarterback. His numbers are really strong always. Yeah, it's a divisional matchup, but I'm not that concerned about this. So baseline high level is I love it, and I want to find ways to get exposure to it. And I'm going to have probably, let me think here if this is a rational take, probably someone from this game in every lineup, right?
I'd hope so.
Between the running backs and the pass catchers.
Yeah. There are a lot of priorities here. I mentioned that there are 3 quarterbacks I'm enthusiastic to use this week. 2 of them are in this game. It's Dak Prescott, it's Jaden Daniels. I think in that order, I'd give a slight edge to Dak just because he's playing at such a good level right now. His stacking partners are pretty obvious as well. So I like Dak. And like you said, does play better at home, indoors, things like that. He's putting up this production, if you're watching over on YouTube, kind of circling his FanDuel production, without CeeDee Lamb. 33.96 points without him in one game against the Packers. It was overtime, 10 minutes of overtime in that game. 28.28, though, against the Jets with no overtime there. 4 touchdowns in that game. How do you say no to that $8,300 when you have CeeDee Lamb likely back and George Pickens playing like a psychopath? And I mean that both in the complimentary way and the questionable way. How do you say no to Dak? And I lean Dak over Jaden Daniels, but I like both. Would you agree it's Dak 1, Jaden 2?
I'm going to say yes, because Dak's pass catchers are healthier.
They are.
Deebo Samuel played through the heel. He's probably going to be better off, but that Monday night showing left a lot to be desired. It was windy, rainy, not ideal, but and Jaden's running. He's at 44 yards per game on the ground. You're not going to get that with Dak exactly, but Dak's efficiency and his ability to put up those massive games is awesome. But you look at Jaden, and I'm not saying, well, now he's just a running quarterback. He's basically just Justin Fields. But is he going to be able to throw even in this spot? Do we think he's got is he throwing for 300 with his current pass catchers in effectively a spot that turns everybody into 1984 Dan Marino? Maybe, but he's also throwing a lot to Luke McCaffrey, and they're probably going to try to keep the ball on the ground a bit. With Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, they seem like they're committed to him regardless of the fumbling issues. I'm not saying the second one was his fault, but all of that to get to like, I feel like I would lean Dak over Jaden, but these are the QB1 and 2 for me because of the game.
Yeah.
I love Mahomes, but I don't know if there's as much pushback in that one.
Yeah, he's 3. So he's up there too. But I agree these are the top 2 guys. With Jaden with the passing, I think it's important, like the context behind these games. Hasn't had Terry McLaurin the past 2 games. That week 2 game was a short turnaround on the road in Green Bay when their defense is playing like fantastic. And then in week 1, they blew out the Giants. So like he's had a lot of things working against him from a ceiling perspective. And the floor has still been good. So if he can have like that production with the potential for more, when you give him McLaurin back, put him indoors against a bad defense, that's pretty fun. So Dak is still 1, but that's why I do feel like Jaden's ceiling is better than what he's shown so far this year. Okay, let's talk about
I agree with that. I didn't frame that like he's just going to throw for 220 yards again. It was like, if he does, that's phenomenal. But how healthy are his pass catchers and, that kind of thing?
It's a fair question because they're not healthy right now. Let's talk about the running backs first, because you alluded to Ja'Cory Crosky-Merritt. His salary is $6,600. In that game last week, 67% snap rate, obviously had some issues, but they stuck with him. And Chris Rodriguez didn't practice that week, but was able to play in the game, just didn't play hardly at all. Maybe that's because of the injury, but maybe it's just because they trust Bill. Like they've said that they're willing to ramp him up as things go along. He's rewarded them for their faith with some pretty explosive plays too. So Crosky-Merritt to me, firmly consideration at mid-range, but so is Javonte Williams. I'm going to have a hard time pushing back on any players in this game, but I'm not going to push back on the running backs either. How are you feeling about Javonte and Crosky-Merritt?
Yeah, I think that this is a really interesting, everybody loves, I'm assuming people like, I know people love Jaden this week. I know that the popularity projections are pretty massive for Jaden. I'd assume they're there for Dak as well.
Yeah.
But a running back stack here. I'm not saying you have to like, hey, number one goal is to avoid the quarterbacks here, but this is like a really easy way to say, hey, I have exposure to this game.
Yeah.
But I went about it differently. And I think that's super justifiable, especially Javonte coming off of a down game by the box score, just the 5.9 FanDuel points. So to me, really interesting. Don't worry about Ja'Cory Crosky-Merritt. I guess I should just call him Bill, but he's using the full legal name here. So I'm not saying that this is my favorite way to go about it. Of course, I'd rather go the quarterbacks with the pass catchers. However, I think it's a really interesting way. Now, another interesting way to go about this game is to play Dak with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. They're very high salaried.
Yes.
It sounds like, oh yeah, well, what a take. But like rostering 2 receivers at 8,000 or higher with a quarterback who's 8,000 or higher, like it starts to feel a little bit different as you build these lineups. And if CeeDee Lamb comes back and they're like, look, we just got 2 wide receiver ones, we're going to treat them pretty much the same, or CeeDee Lamb, as the 1A, but Pickens, he's not going back to like a whatever role. Like I think Jake Ferguson's more at risk of just kind of getting a little more phased out. I don't know how you see what George Pickens has done and just go back and be like, well, he's kind of the second/third option.
Yeah.
So you could realistically get 60 to 65% of the targets from Dak with these 2 guys and potentially all the touchdowns. So I think that's another interesting way to go about it, is to play both of them together.
Well, like imagine the Eagles' target shares and a pass-heavy offense, like with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. We can get that with Lamb and Pickens. If you gave me Dak's efficiency and Dak's volume with like the usages of A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, I'm fine paying $8,000 for all 3 of those pieces personally. So I see no objections to that. I think that's a pretty fun way to do it. You run it back with Ja'Cory Crosky-Merritt or Terry McLaurin, frankly, like to save a bit of salary there too. I think that works well, and I'm on board with that as an approach.
Yeah, like so, especially because I'm going to downplay this second game that we talk about here in a second, but you want to find ways to get to this game that's a little bit different. And sometimes it's as simple as well, play Pickens because he's not hurt and he's easier to roster, and play Terry because he's lower salary than Debo, and you're building a lot of the same stacks as other people, which there's enough layering even on a 10-game slate where you can differentiate elsewhere. But if you just want to play like the chalky value plays with a home run stack from the game of the week, think about different ways that you can do it.
I'm fine with that. I think it makes a lot of sense. Let's talk here about Debo Samuel and Terry McLaurin again. I'm expecting both to play. Debo didn't practice again on Wednesday due to that heel issue. He's been missing a lot of practice recently, has been playing through it, but not playing like amazing by any means in terms of production. Terry McLaurin coming back from a quad issue, has missed the past couple of games there. How are you feeling about those guys? Let's say they're both full by Friday. Would they be standalone plays for you or game stacks only?
That's a tough one.
And I would include mini stacks in there too. Like, let's say you have Javonte, are you looking to include these guys as like a bring back option to mini stack and stuff like that as well?
That's easier. Yes.
Okay.
If I'm building one lineup and it's a Mahomes lineup, or I don't know, maybe like Drake May, maybe Jordan Love, Justin Herbert. It's like, am I going out of my way in these rare lineups where I'm not really building around this game? Am I plugging in Terry? I should, frankly, in this spot. I think I'm somehow more likely to do it than Debo.
Sure.
But I don't know. Like, it's just who's healthier. Like,
yeah. I don't know.
Like Debo went from what, a 45% target share to sort of just kind of, he was out there on Monday night.
Yeah. And now it's a short week.
Yeah. And like, I expect it to be better.
Sure.
But yeah, 48%. He still had 21% of the targets last week, but he clearly was not himself. Yeah. And 71, if he's like, he gets 6 targets and they don't really try to run the ball with him too much in this spot, you're not coming back from that. So I don't know. Do you have a strong lean on this one?
I would love for Terry McLaurin to be full on Friday. Because if I can just go Terry and not worry about Debo's injury, then I'm going to feel pretty good about it. They've been saying he's been trending the right direction for a month, it feels like. Like Dan Quinn every Monday, Terry McLaurin trending up, and then he doesn't practice on Wednesday or Thursday. And it's like, cool, man. Like, what does that mean to me? So I want a full by Friday for Terry before I feel great, given it's a multi-week injury. If we get that, though, like I can feel pretty good about that at 64. And I'd be willing to use him in like non-game stack lineups personally. But I need the full by Friday to get there. Otherwise, it's pretty much just game stacks. And I agree with your skepticism around Debo, just given like the health. I think that's a fair concern there.
Yeah, it's a hard one to answer on Thursday.
Yeah, I agree. Any final thoughts for you in this game?
Stack them up.
Let's
sorry. Tight ends, I think, are both viable.
Yeah.
I think
like you toss on Ertz with like a Jaden lineup, like that's fine. Yeah. Like at times, that's fine.
Yeah. I'm way more likely to play Ertz than Ferguson, though.
I agree. Just based on the salaries, Ertz 51, Ferguson 68. Let's move now to our second game. That is the Indianapolis Colts taking on the Los Angeles Chargers. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook, the Chargers slight favorites. They're at minus 126 in the money line. Colts at plus 108. Total in this game is at 48.5. Both teams have great running backs, I think, relative to salary. And I'm not scared of either defense. So how do you feel about the passing games in this one, Colts versus Chargers?
I just never, I don't love... I mean, the Colts are fun, but they're still kind of the Colts in a way of which pass catchers are going to torch me. There's the Tyler Warren situation, but that's kind of different. And then, like, Justin Herbert and the Chargers kind of went from being really, really, really fun to like really, really, really injured. And it scaled things back. They started off as just an extremely pass heavy team. And then since then, I mean, week 4, they threw a lot, but they've been kind of like below average in terms of pass rate over expectation. And I think it's because they can't continuously put Justin Herbert dropping back with all of the offensive line injuries that they have. So they might try to get out of these games until they get healthier, trying to win the game and not like play, hey, we're going to go throw 1,000,000 times against the Chiefs because we feel like we're the best team in football. With that, and with the Colts being able to run the ball, I think like it's not about the over, it's about how distributed is the production that I can't get past. I love Jonathan Taylor. I'm not positive I love any other plays in this game despite the over-under.
So you're saying you don't love any other plays in this game. What to you is the concern around Kamani Vidal? Given
they're still asking for running backs and stuff. And
I mean,
it
like
feels
they just need dudes. Like they don't have any depth.
I know, but this could be a like hot hand kind of situation. And if Vidal like gets stuffed a ton, he might just not play a lot.
Sure.
And
Counterpoint.
Like that is that is the type of thing that he's probably going to rate out extremely well in optimizers. I didn't do any of the optimizer stuff before the show. Like his success rate wasn't great. 33%. EPA per carry, not great. Like I think the role is going to be fine, but I just wouldn't be astonished if they're like, we're going to kind of move away from him because he doesn't have it this week. And there's enough of that for me where I don't want to plug in a million lineups with him, just kind of like assumed like a lock that he's going to play the role he did last week. And I could be wrong on that. I'm still going to play him.
Yeah.
But this is not a no-brainer. Play Kamani Vidal 6,200 and just kind of move on from there. So maybe I'm too low. What are your thoughts on him?
I'm very willing to use him. I think that he is a tremendous play this week due to the salary and the ceiling. And when you get a ceiling like his for a salary of 62, that's really tough to pass up. Like, yeah, I mean, like he could bust. That's fine. I understand like the concerns around that. But because of how well he played last week and because of like there were reports Hassan Haskins would start, but it was Vidal who started, which says to me in practice, they thought that Vidal looked like the better player and they decided to ride with him. And then he rewarded them for their faith. Like, sure, not an amazing success rate, but like you don't luck into 124 yards. The Dolphins stink, but the Colts defense against the rush is also like fine. It's not amazing. They do have pretty high success rates to opposing running backs. So I honestly think that it's a good setup again. They're at home. They're slight favorites. He showed to them he is worthy of getting first crack once again. Got work as both a rusher and as a pass catcher. I just feel like there's enough positives in his favor for me to justify it, given that his salary is low at 62 and there's not a ton of like hyper obvious value on this slate.
So let me ask this, because we're probably very close.
Yeah.
Despite how we approached it, we're probably in a similar bucket.
Yeah.
Your total roster exposure, like how many of your lineups are going to have Vidal?
60.
Okay. I'm like 30. So
okay,
you're still higher, but it's not like I'm at 0 and you're 100. That's the thing though, is like
cash game or no?
I don't think I would want to.
I'm okay with it. So I think I'm higher on you, but it's not like he's not a 94%. Whoever was 94% last week. Was it Rico? 94% Rico last week. He's not that.
Yeah. But that's the thing is like, hey, why isn't he? And I'm laying out the reasons why he's just not. I'm not viewing him that way.
Yeah, and I feel more secure in the role, which is why I'm a bit higher. But it does, like you said, it sounds like we kind of have the same concerns. I'm just less concerned about them on my end. Let's talk about the pass catchers here. Again, a lot of injury question marks for these guys. Quentin Johnston limited practice Wednesday with that hamstring, and then Josh Downs didn't practice due to a concussion. Let's talk about the pass catchers here. We have three guys who can earn a 20% target share with the Chargers. Michael Pittman, if you take out Josh Downs, I think it'd be pretty okay at $5,800 because he should get a lot of targets. Alec Pierce, if you give him more gimmies, if there's no downs, that's pretty intriguing too. So no one to me is a love in the passing game here, except for Tyler Warren. But there are a lot of guys I like and am okay using. What's your read on the pass catchers in this one?
I think my view on this game in general is bogging me down on someone like Vidal, but it's also like I want to like this game more. Like I want to just be like, okay, the total is high. I like both of these offenses overall. The defenses are gettable enough. but like Ladd's salary just shot back up. Johnston, is he I don't know. I feel like he needs to be peak, honestly, to sort of play the way he plays on those downfield explosive plays. And Keenan Allen is like, okay, you can't do this to guys, but also you kind of can. And you can also lump Michael Pittman in to a degree. He's like, did he score a touchdown? Like, then he was all right. Did he not score a touchdown? Like, then you didn't really want to play him. And you're basically asking, like, is this going to be a situation where one of these guys scores twice? And you're like, well, now I'm the idiot because I just didn't play these receivers with pretty good market shares in a high scoring game. But also, if you get a Keenan Allen game with no touchdown, you're like, well, I was a genius for not playing him. So I can't commit to any of these guys.
Yeah.
And I'm still more likely to play running back in this one. So I know I'm lower on Vidal, but where are you with the pass catchers? Are you higher than I am?
No, I don't think so. Based on what you said, I think we're pretty much in the same realm here. Like Keenan Allen, the question I'd ask is similar to yours, but like, can you make me regret not using you? Maybe. I don't really know though.
Like if there's a spot, it's this game where he gets to like 80 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Sure.
Because it just scores 50, 60 points. But this game could also score 55 points and like nobody's great.
Yeah.
I think Jonathan Taylor will be great, but
I'm more receptive to Pittman than I usually am. He is not my cup of tea typically. Because he doesn't get a lot of high leverage targets. Like his overall target share is good. His high leverage target share is not good typically. And that's still been true this year. Only 6 total deep targets, more than 15 yards downfield. Overall target share is 21%. And his red zone target share is, I guess, 24%, which is better than what I thought. But like, I don't know. He is what he is. But if you take out Josh Downs, that target share will go up. So I'll be more okay with him. And again, same thing for Alec Pierce. He can go for $120 on 3 targets. So if you give him like 6 targets, he could go for like 640 yards. Like that's just math. So I'm willing to use Alec Pierce. I cannot use him in a cash game. Can't even think about him in a cash game. I can't have exposure to him higher than 30%. But like, can I have him as a bring back in a Kamani Vidal, like low salaried stack of this game? Heck yeah, I can. So I'll use him. But like, I need to make sure I am reserved in doing so I'm not overexposed to a guy who's not going to get a target within 60 yards of the line of scrimmage.
Yeah. I pulled the 3 like full games with Pierce, just removing the one where his snaps were a bit down. And he's at 31% of the air yards in those games. But Josh Downs potentially vacating 33% of the red zone and 31% of the money targets. So that's your targets when you're inside the 10 or in the end zone. When you get targeted, well, that's probably going to get funneled to Tyler Warren, which is probably a reason to like him. But I think there's a big opportunity for Pierce. So I think he makes sense. I know like we're Alec Pierce guys on this show, but I might be more likely to play him than Michael Pittman. From a tournament perspective.
I'm not going to push back on that because you know my leanings. But Pittman more defensible than usual. Warren's salary is $7,000. He's amazing. And like we talk about the target shares, but like, and like I say this every week, but like I know that like red zone rushing thing is a gimmick. It's not. Like if they use him as a wildcat quarterback, he's like Taysom Warren at this point. Like maybe not the same rushing like workload as Taysom Hill, but like he'll get a pass attempt, he'll get some rushing attempts. Like for $7,000, yeah, that's good. Any interest in Deronde Gadsden II? They had both Will Dissly and Tyler Conklin back this week or last week, but Gadsden still had 8 targets. That was partly because QJ was out, and I want to note that. But would you consider Gadsden as part of a game stack?
Yeah, so like I took notes. Specifically just on week 6 because there was no Quentin Johnston. And one of the things that stood out to me was that Gadsden's role increased. Like, and just kind of interestingly here, like Ladd did what he did on a 24% target share. It's not like it was massively different. He just kind of
had a long busted play, which helped.
Yeah. But Gadsden 2.72 yards per route run. I know it's a 1-game sample. You don't really want to look at that, but 32% target per route rate, which is beyond the elite cutoff. And I just, as much as I want to play Warren, we got value at tight end. And I think Gadsden here at home, indoors, high scoring game. It's kind of the tight end like checklist. So I'm pretty receptive there. I'm not, before anybody would ask, or you would even like ask me. I know you wouldn't, but like it's not a 2 tight end week.
Oof.
So,
but I'm just saying shivers. Yeah.
But this is the second game we talked about so far in this section. Both of them could kind of justify, like qualify as 2 tight end games.
Sure. Yeah.
It's not for me. Yeah. But I think Gadsden's the. Are you more likely to play Gadsden or Keenan Allen?
Probably Keenan, unfortunately. Just because I'm worried about Gadsden's role with QJ healthy.
True.
So that's the main concern for me, is what happens in when Johnston is healthy again. Not really sure about that. Either quarterback for you in this game.
Like, this is kind of the real question of, we're talking about this high scoring game. It doesn't just feel like a slam dunk 2 QB game. Concerned about Herbert a little bit. I don't know. It's probably like a 1 QB game, but they're both halves.
I'd probably make it 0.75 Herbert, 0.25 Jones. So yeah, largely in agreement.
Yeah.
With Herbert, it's mostly because I just don't like this defense that much for the Colts. At home, indoors, stuff like that. With Jones, I don't know what the ceiling's there. And there are guys with ceilings in this slate. So I might not use either, frankly, but I'm more likely to use Herbert.
Yeah, I'm more likely to use Herbert. The Colts, their one blemish so far was coincidentally going out to LA for the Rams.
Yeah. So
they might have a little extra fire.
Revenge game against the venue. Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
There we go.
So there's that.
Talking.
But
would note that Aranda Gadsden had he was facing his dad's old team narrative in his favor last week. Does not have that this week. So just want to at least put that out there in the ether. Let's talk about our final game for this week. That is the Raiders at the Chiefs. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook, Raiders are 11.5-point dogs. Total in this game, 45.5. And the reason we want to talk about this one is because the Chiefs have a massive implied total for this week. It is the highest on the main slate as things stand. They get Rashee Rice back this week, and they've been efficient without him for the past 3 weeks when Xavier Worthy's been back. So where are you on the Chiefs here and any bringbacks on the Raiders?
Well, yeah, I guess we'll get to that second question, but I love the Chiefs this week. My model loves them to score a ton of points, so I'm not going to ignore that. And the spread's big, and maybe we're like, you know what? They're not going to need to do a lot. I don't know that that's the case. This team is 3-3. The Chargers have a tough matchup this week. The Broncos, of course, hosting the Giants. So you got to think that the Chiefs are viewing this. I'm not going to say it's a must win. What are you clicking around for?
I'm trying to find if we have alt team totals posted for the Chiefs.
I don't see I don't view this as they're just going to they'll get ahead by 7 and just play keep away. This team is a legitimate, again, Super Bowl contender. I think this is a really this offense rates out great for me already by EPA. Now you're adding in a legitimate difference maker to the pass catching core. And so my model also hates the Raiders defense for what it's worth, the player level stuff. So to me, I don't care so much about the spread. I don't think it's going to be something that's a deterrent. This could be viewed as let's go make sure everybody knows how good we are kind of game.
Yeah.
And that's really appealing to me.
Yeah, I agree with you. Where I don't really care that much about the spread because I think that they're going to want to make a statement here, but also just kind of use this as a preseason game to reintegrate Rashee Rice to the game plan. Jeremy Fowler of ESPN, we talk about okay, what reports do you trust? Fowler to me is in the trust tree as far as reporters who I trust. Tom Pelissero, Adam Schefter, those are guys whose word I take as to be pretty good. Fowler's in there too. He said Rashee Rice is going to get heavy workload this week, and I trust him. So to me, that says we get the green light on Patrick Mahomes at $8,000. We get the green light on Rashee Rice at $7,500, and honestly, still a green light on Xavier Worthy at $7,002. Just because like he's played well enough where I'm not going to put the Ferrari back in the garage necessarily, despite the fact I've got a Lamborghini who can probably should not make car references with Rashee Rice. Anyway, I'm not going to put Xavier Worthy back in his toy shelf case. I don't know. We're figuring it out as we go along. I still think Worthy's in play too at $7,000 regardless. I think that all those guys are solid. I would even give like the slightest consideration to Travis Kelce at 58. He's looked better the past couple of weeks than he did initially, better than he looked last year. I thought too, target share should decline with Rice being there, given they operate in a similar part of the field, but like, it's not nothing. So I feel like every Chief who is not a running back is in play. I mean, those 4 running backs are in play. You kind of feeling the same where you'd use Worthy too?
Yeah, I think Worthy's just a great football player.
I do too.
This is like a Mahomes, Rice, Worthy double stack kind of a situation. And I'm sure they'll just throw it to like, I don't know, or just because Kareem Hunt 3 touchdown game coming or something. Maybe. Yeah. Isaiah Pacheco had his snap rate's been up
77%.
77% last week, 62% the week before. Hasn't translated to a ton, but he's also running routes 57% and 64% the last 2 weeks. Like there's the season long buzz on Rashard Smith long term, but like there's a chance that Pacheco, who has been fantasy relevant and especially someone that you've been really interested in the past, I'm not putting this on you to say like, well, why don't you like him this week? There's a lot more that goes into it, but I'm just noting that his role's he's been separating a little bit.
Yeah.
And I joked about like Kareem Hunt scoring 3 times. Like maybe Pacheco gets going here in a game where they are playing from ahead.
Yeah.
And, his red zone snap rate's it kind of dipped a little bit for Hunt in weeks 4 and 5, but then went back up in week 6. So I don't know. I'm not going to get there really.
Yeah.
But I think you could do worse.
Yeah. I do want to buy into the rule change for Pacheco personally. I did that via like his rushing yardage prop last week, which is 34.5. I think I want to do that again this week where I go more towards the prop market for him than for DFS because I'm not sure what the ceiling is for him. And I've got guys like Kimani Vidal in that lower 6K range, but I think it's a good shout. Like his role is better than what it would have been in the past. Let's stick at running back and talk about Ashton Genty. His salary is $7,300. This Raiders offense is not very good, but the Chiefs rush defense also isn't very good, I don't think. And Genty, while this game is competitive, I think will get work. So I am not going to have a bring back in every Mahomes lineup. I tend to have a bring back with every quarterback. I won't do that with Mahomes because I don't feel the need to, but I'm going to have some Genty lineups there, both in like full game stacks, but also some mini stacks here, just because like he's a good football player. Pete Carroll said he wants to keep giving him 20 carries per game, which is cool. And like the Chiefs rush defense is not amazing right now. So I'll use Genty at 73. Where are you at on him?
Yeah, he's close to like game stacks only for me, where it's like, hey, you know what? This game's fun. And it's a little bit closer, and it's closer because the Raiders can run the ball and punch it in with Ashton Genty. A lot of turmoil with the pass catchers too. I don't know if it's a squeaky wheel kind of situation.
I think it's squeaky wheel might get traded kind of situation.
Yeah. So it's probably a little bit more like we'll just run the ball then. And I think that's how he gets there, but I don't think that's going to really affect the Chiefs too much. Mahomes, he's playing different football, and it almost feels like at this point, especially with their record being what it is, 3-3, if you just drop 2 safeties back, he's just going to run.
But also like you've got Rashee Rice now, and he's like, Rashee Rice is built to beat 2 high safeties. He's perfect for that.
But it's like whatever, like it feels like probably one, and I'd have to look more at the data here, but it kind of felt like, well, keep Mahomes healthy. Like he's not running a ton if he doesn't need to. So you're just checking it down all the time. Now it just feels like, well, he'll pick up 7 yards if you're just going to drop everyone back. And you can't win a football game letting up 7 yards on every 3rd and 5 or something. Right. So I think this just feels like a different team.
Yeah.
It took a while, but it feels like the Chiefs figured out how to get the most out of Mahomes again. Like his efficiency numbers were always like solid, but just like whatever happened to like this guy who was breaking EPA metrics. So I have like no issues here with that side of the ball. And so I kind of like the Genty aspect of it, where I think that's how probably the Raiders keep this one close, especially with Bowers. Just like Michael Mayer's fine. He had a good game last week.
Yeah. I was going to ask if you were willing to consider him at 51.
Yeah. I don't know how you don't, I guess.
Michael Mayer or Rondé Gadsden?
Mayer, because he's more likely to have I would bet on his like.
I think he's going to run every route, which is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd agree with that too. So prefer Mayer as a bring back option here. Okay with Genty. I'm not going to say I'm going to have zero Trey Tucker just because like he's shown he can have blow up games, and if Jacoby Myers is either traded or out due to injury, Tucker could do some stuff. So like it's only like, okay, I've got these 10 Mahomes lineups. I don't want to have like just 3 bringbacks. I'll put in a little bit of Mayer, a little bit of Tucker to fill that out. But like that's kind of the setup that they're in for this week. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's dig in now to our trend section for week number 7. Once again, the Green Bay Packers are in a pretty good spot for this week. They're on the road taking on the Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals defense, not one that I fear all that much. This game is indoors. That's a good setup for the Packers. So you're going to break down your thoughts on their passing offense, which is ever evolving, and see what we can find there. What'd you see when you dug into the data on Green Bay?
Yeah, it is ever evolving. I have such a hard time remembering who's active and who's played. There's so many names, and I always get frustrated throughout the season trying to remember which wide receiver. Like, I love Romeo Doubs, but this team just has like 6 wide receiver 2s, and they're all like kind of equally important. They're not equally important, but like they're kind of. So it all matters if someone misses or not. But these guys are always missing time, so we'll get to it. But yeah, I don't want to, but like I got to take a long look at the Packers, who are always just a frustrating team for DFS on the road against the Cardinals, who, as you mentioned, not really like a defense that scares me. Jordan Love this year, plus 6.2% completion percentage over expectation, according to Next Gen Stats, over 250 passing yards per game, 8.6 yards per attempt. For some traditional stats, ADOT's solid at 8.0, 0.26 EPA per dropback if you adjust for opponents, whereas 0 would be expectation. He's at a 0.14, which is phenomenal, and over a 50% passing success rate. He's good on downfield attempts, and the Cardinals are not. They're 24th in adjusted ADOT, which accounts for who you face, and 26th in adjusted pressure rate. Again, adjusting for who you faced. And honestly, like, this is a guy who can throw for 4 touchdowns and 300 and some yards because he just is a slinger. But they also have a running back who we'll talk about. But and effectively 4 full games without Jaden Reed. Only Romeo Doubs at 21% is above a 20% target share. This is like we used to rail on the Colts for the past couple years. This is very similar to that. But this team's good and like efficient as well. So there's that to factor in. But Tucker Kraft and Josh Jacobs are at 16%. Again, this is specifically with Jaden Reed basically not playing. Matthew Golden's at 14.9%, and Dontavian Wicks, as you mentioned earlier, dinged up, but limited in practice Wednesday, 14%. So those are a lot of like traditionally target shares that we're like, no thanks. Now, there's a little bit more to it where Romeo Doubs has a phenomenal red zone role, 31% of the red zone targets, but 60% of the money targets. So think of a pass from the 30, you throw it down to the 5. Like, that's a great play. It's not a red zone target, but like he gets those. He gets the targets that go into the end zone, that type of thing. And that gives him a little bit of just a peculiar path to upside when it comes to FanDuel scoring, which it is a little touchdown dependent. It's half PPR, but Doubs, from a yardage standpoint, not likely to burn us. 6,300 though, it's not the worst. He's a Keenan Allen plus. I'll say that much to me.
Okay,
but So he's one of the constants to me. Tucker Kraft being a red zone threat also seems like it's a bit of a constant. But if you look just at week 6, like it was post bye, which I think should be telling. Like Matthew Golden had a big game by yardage, 86 yards for him. Target share was 19%, 37% of the air yards to lead the team, 29% target per route rate. So still didn't really get the red zone and money target work. There wasn't a lot to go around in that specific matchup. But if you extrapolate that target per route rate into a game where they're just kind of throwing the ball a ton, it's pretty impressive. And as you see, anybody watching closely, no receiving scores yet for Matthew Golden. So that's something that we need to keep in mind. So to me, Dobbs is still the number one and the guy, the receiver I would like the most. We've been on Tucker Kraft for a lot of the year. I'm kind of souring on him a little bit, especially as Matthew Golden gets a little bit more acclimated. So I can't really sell myself on any of the pass catchers to a massive degree. The name that I keep going back to, though, and whose receiving role has actually scaled up without Jaden Reed a ton, is Josh Jacobs. Jacobs' salary this week, 9,200. Well over 100 scrimmage yards per game, 48% red zone share. So that's all of the opportunities within the offense. Those numbers, like 100 plus and like 44% plus, that's like the Christian McCaffrey, Jonathan Taylor, Bijan Robinson tier. Those guys have more yardage upside. McCaffrey's got like more of the red zone work than that, but Jacobs has like more of the red zone share than like Bijan. But it's basically like his role is so good and he's kind of being efficient and getting some yardage. So Jacobs is a firm love to me, and he's still, along with Jonathan Taylor, like I think they're priority plays. We can talk about the mid-range running backs all we want, but like these guys have really easy, clear paths to like 30 plus FanDuel points. And I don't want to lose sight of that because I have the option to spend down a bit at running back. So I'd say Dobbs and Golden are definitely in the consideration set. I'm probably a little bit too low on Golden, especially with the fact that his role should continue to grow throughout the season. It was great on a per route basis, and he's due for touchdown regression. Tucker Kraft's numbers are just kind of frustrating at this point, but I would consider Jordan Love this week. I don't know if I need to get there because he's like, we already have 3 quarterbacks we absolutely adore. So all of this is to say, Jacobs is probably a little bit underrated, honestly, for how good his workload is. I just can't sell myself on the pass catchers to a substantial degree. Do you see anything different with this team?
No, especially given that we're probably or could potentially get Christian Watson back for this game. And like that's another variable to mix in there. I do think they want Golden in the mix. Like there was a drive last week where like I was like, oh no, am I gonna get torched because I didn't use this guy? Because like they gave him like a bunch of work on one specific drive. So I think they want to get him involved, which is intriguing. But like Christian Watson, like Golden's biggest value add is like a deep ball guy with like, who can get open deep because he's fast. That's also Christian Watson's role. So I'm not really sure what the mesh in that will be. If there's no Watson, I'll be more receptive to Golden at 59 because it does seem like they want to get him the football. And I think that's intriguing. And he's going to haul in a 70-yard pass very soon. It could be this week.
Yeah. I think even if Watson plays with how often injured he is and the fact
he'll probably be limited. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I didn't even bother, honestly. It was like, I feel like we'll play like 20 to 30% of the snaps, maybe.
It's a fair point.
So
yeah, I agree with that. And Golden is a guy they're invested in long-term because he's a first round pick. So that's worth it too. But I agree with you on Josh Jacobs. And on the Jacobs subject, I did this last week, but would also do it again this week. A Jordan Love, Josh Jacobs, cut it off there stack. I'm cool with that. Are you?
Honestly, it might be the right way to play.
Yeah,
Jordan Love, because none of the individual receivers, I don't have it pulled up, but like, I wonder what the max yardage has been for any guy this year.
Dobbs is at like maybe 68. Golden, I think, has 80.
We had 86 last week.
Wicks, yeah, I think you're right. It's low. So, yeah.
And like it's the touchdowns are great, but like who's going to break out for a $120? Like,
yep, I agree.
Can you do that? Are you legally allowed to do that?
No, I don't think so.
That's the thing.
Not right now. Okay. But yeah, we're on board with Love and with Jacobs, potentially pairing the two of them together. Let's talk now about my trend, which you seem to be a bit more skeptical of. And I want to talk about the mid-range running backs, because overall this year, we've looked at the mid-range running back more than we have in the past. And I think it's kind of more of the same this week. So I want to look at the range of Javonte Williams 75 through Kimani Vidal at 62 and kind of outline my thoughts on all these guys, because they've got some good usage. Williams gets the Commanders at home. Talked about him in the bookmaker section. We're on board with that, paired with Corey Krosky-Merritt. Quinshon Judkins gets the Dolphins. That total is down to 36.5. I would have 37.5. So I think that's actually pretty fair because of the wind in that game. The Dolphins have allowed the highest explosive rush rate in the league to opposing running backs. Kimani Vidal's big game last week came against the Dolphins. Judkins, 18.5 carries, 2.3 targets per game as the Browns lead back. That's pretty fun for $74. Ashton Jeanty, 73, again, facing the Chiefs as 11.5 point dogs, but like pass catching role has been okay at times for Jeanty, and I think they're gettable from a matchup perspective. We get Breece Hall at $7,000. He is at home against the Panthers. Panthers rush defense has been really good this year. Hall's role has been solid since the Braylon Allen injury, 108.3 yards from scrimmage per game. But like enough concerns there in a good enough range where I have at least some concerns with him. Jordan Mason checks in 69. Aaron Jones still one more week on IR. Jalen Carter's back this week, but Mason, 15 carries and 2.3 targets per game without Aaron Jones. It's okay, but it's not amazing. Cam Scadaboo, $6,800. His role has been awesome as the lead back. He has 26.8 adjusted opportunities per game. Again, carries plus 2x targets, 106.4 yards from scrimmage per game, but he's facing Denver on the road. That's a really tough setup. Corey Krosky-Merritt, 67% snap rate in week 6. His first time topping 50% this year. 17 carries and 1 target. Comes a week after he had 150 yards in scrimmage. That Commanders like run game, I think, is really well schemed. And that means that whoever you wind up putting in there has the potential for a good game. My arch nemesis, DeAndre Swift, finally had a good game on Monday, $6,300. The Saints have been good, but not elite against the rush. So it's like not a great matchup, but also not a terrible one. They're also in heavy wins. And then finally, we have Kimani Vidal, who I think is a core play potentially on this slate. 67% snap rate in week 6, 138 yards from scrimmage. Colts defense has been better against the run than against the pass, but they don't scare me overall. So in this mid-range, I'd probably rank Vidal 1. I would go Judkins 2. I would go Bill 3. And then Javonte Williams 4. But I'm willing to use all those guys. I think that they're all pretty solid. I wouldn't cross off DeAndre Swift. Wouldn't cross off guys like Breece Hall or Ashton Jeanty. I think that they're all at least considerations. How do you feel about the mid-range, given the workloads here for a lot of these guys and the fact that we do want to get back up to guys like Jonathan Taylor, like Josh Jacobs, Jaden Daniels, Dak Prescott, stuff like that?
Yeah, I think the thing for me is I just really like Jonathan Taylor and Josh Jacobs. So I only need one of these guys and potentially a lot of lineups. Realistically, I'm only going to play one of JT and Josh Jacobs, but like in most of my lineups, I'm not going to play both together. You make good cases for all these guys, but for me, I need like who's the clear, like, okay, these guys are good, but this is the guy. Like, and I'm struggling to figure out how I feel about, like, it's harder for me to rank someone just like number one at the top by a mile. It's probably Javonte because I like the game the most.
Okay.
But if I go down the list, like Javonte, no real issues. So I'm higher on him. Judkins, I understand the matchup's good. It's still an ugly game. And like, I don't want to get out over my skis on an offense tied to Dylan Gabriel. Now, this is the best spot he's been in. He's played overseas and then on the road against the Steelers on terrible conditions. So like maybe Judkins just I'm too low on. Jeanty, I still feel a little bit like concerned about the offensive expectations just because I do. Breece, it's similar, honestly, like the offensive expectations of it all. Mason, I'm not I'm not going to get there. Maybe
Same.
I'm too low on that, but Scadaboo with the defense, he might score and get like 80 yards on a lot of volume, but if I lose because Cam Scadaboo just goes nuts against the Broncos, like, okay, fine. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, I like him. I'm just not going to probably make him a core play. And then who else did we say? Vidal.
Vidal and Swift.
Swift had one good game by yardage last week. His role's been fine.
His role actually got worse last week, and he's not his best game.
That's kind of the thing.
Yeah.
Like his role didn't really change. So I don't know. I'm relatively high on Javonte. I see it with Judkins, although I don't love the offense. I just feel like it's different than in weeks past where it's like Scadaboo's under salary in a good matchup. Like this and that. I just don't feel like we have those. Like Rico Dowdle is in 66, stepping into a massive workload. Like I don't feel that way. And I want to make sure that if I'm plugging in these guys, I feel that way.
Yeah.
Like to a massive degree. So you said like 60% Kamani Vidal. I mean, we just save this for the salary scroll here in a minute, but like, I think it's going to be interesting to see what our breakdowns are of how we want to go about things.
Yeah.
In terms of the running backs.
Yeah, I think he's the one for me. So, and like when I say the one, I agree. There's not a clear runaway back. So we're in agreement there. Because again, 60% for me is low for like my highest rostered running back.
Yeah. So again, I think that's the main thing is I'm fine with all the guys you're fine with.
Yeah.
But when I'm building one lineup, who do you start with? Who do you
game stack for me?
I know, and like that's to me means like I don't love the running back so much. I'm playing the game theory behind each lineup.
Yeah.
So
I'm fine with that being a tiebreaker, just because like I think that they're all good. No one is great. I think they're all good, and like I'm okay with that when I have the game environment to tiebreak it for me.
That's my point. And when I build lineups and it's like, well, I had this stack, but I played the wrong mid-range running backs because I just like, that's what I hate.
Yeah, I get that.
So I might need to pare
on
down
Sunday
that.
After like all the news is broken, hand rank them. We talk about that a lot, but like go through and like ask myself, okay, rubber meets the road. How do I rank these guys? Act appropriately.
Yeah,
I think that's right.
Okay.
We've alluded to the weather a couple of times for this slate. So let's just kind of go through what those concerns are, because there are several. Wind speeds in Kansas City for the Raiders and Chiefs, 10 miles per hour. That's not danger zone yet. It's not great, but it's not danger zone by any means. I saw the total of 48 point something despite the wind. So that's fine. Wind speeds at 16 miles per hour in Nashville for the Titans and the Patriots. Not a game that I really wanted to go to anyway, but that does downgrade that one a bit too. 12 mile per hour winds in East Rutherford for the Jets and the Panthers. Slight downgrade to the, fantastic passing games in that one anyway. Again, I said gale force winds potentially in Cleveland for the Dolphins and the Dolphins and Browns. There was a report this morning that could be between 50 and 60 mile per hour winds. I think that's a little hyperbolic, but like it's going to be like 20 mile per hour sustained winds. So I have a total of 37.5 after accounting for the wind. The betting total is down to 36.5. Fair, makes sense. I think that might be a slight overreaction, but like it's down there for a reason. Also some rain potentially there. Some rain possible in Chicago too for the Bears and the Saints. They're getting the same system. So wind speeds there are also in the 20s for the Bears and Saints, which is why I can't get super enthused about Roma Dunze. I'll take a 1 week reprieve from Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. Back to them once they're back indoors, but that's a gross setup. I took the under in that game as well as a result of the wind. And then other games on the slate, not super concerning from a win perspective, but big downgrade for Saints Bears, big downgrade for Browns Dolphins, then slight downgrades for Patriots Titans and Panthers Jets, monitoring Chiefs Raiders, but not overly concerned about that one as of yet. So with that said, let's dig in now to our position by position breakdown for this week 7 NFL DFS main slate. Let's begin at quarterback, Brandon. We talked about quarterback quite a bit. I haven't really changed my tune. I still feel like Dak is 1, Jaden 2, Pat Mahomes 3. How are you feeling about quarterback this week? Are those your big 3 right now?
Those are my big 3.
Okay.
I don't know how I'm going to come off of that by Sunday. I can't do it with Jalen Hurts anymore from a ceiling standpoint. If I had to rank the top three, I still think it's Dak, Jaden, and Mahomes.
Yep, agreed.
With those three, with the first two, you're just indoors and you don't have to worry about any of the laundry list that Jim just read out.
Yeah.
So I love that. And I don't know if I'm going to change my tune here. Is there anyone else at the top? I mean, I guess it's just Drake May and Jalen Hurts over 8,000.
No Hurts for me.
But are there any?
No Drake May.
No Hurts, no Drake May.
Yep.
Okay. I don't think that's wrong necessarily.
Okay. As we get in the 7,000 range, it drops off pretty fast, I think. And that's part of why I feel so committed to those big three. I am okay with Jordan Love, prefer to stack him with Josh Jacobs as we discussed. And I'm okay with Justin Herbert, but like they're like soft likes. So it goes for me from like ecstatic loves with Dak, Jaden, and Mahomes to soft likes with Love and Herbert. What are you seeing elsewhere at quarterback this week?
Yeah, I'm probably more likely to play Love than Herbert. Despite being on the road,
and I'd be higher on Jordan Love too if we get Kyler and Marv. That would help him as well.
Yes.
And I agree with you now. If I assume it's Brissett, I agree with you now that it's probably Love by a hair over Herbert.
Yeah,
I'd agree even more emphatically if we were to get Kyler and Marv.
Yeah,
like Jordan Love would become a like for me if we get Kyler and Marv.
Yeah, I think so. He'd be QB4 then.
Yeah, he would. He probably is to begin with, but yeah,
I agree with that.
Okay.
Herbert and Jones, I'm fine if people are like, look, the total's high, it's indoors. What are you guys doing? I'm just not convinced that the ceiling is immense for either of these guys right now.
Yeah, I agree.
Any Justin Fields coming off of a 45-yard day?
Nope.
Yeah.
No dart. The Broncos have so I have like an opponent adjusted like explosive rush rate allowed to quarterbacks. Because of the way the math works, they're actually at negative. Because they haven't let it bet any, I don't think. Yeah. So like it's a weird math thing the way it works. So no dart. I'll be there eventually, but not right now. Nothing else, honestly, for me. It's really just I can't get below Herbert, and I really don't want to go to Herbert. I might just use the big three and then like a bit of Jordan Love.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. This ain't the week to spend down at quarterback, I don't think.
I agree. So let's go to running back. We have the studs in Jonathan Taylor and Josh Jacobs. Let's just talk about those two first. How do you want to have one of them in every lineup?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing for me is like, we're going to go through the mid-range running backs again, and we'll make it clear. Like I think we're coming at it from different perspectives, but feel kind of similar is like, if you're asking me who my loves are at running back, it's Jonathan Taylor and it's Josh Jacobs. And it's not just because they're the highest salary guys. It's because their workloads right now and their efficiency on those workloads is what we used to like yearn for.
We foamed at the mouth for it. We'd pay $11,000 for David Johnson.
Yeah. Like they're doing that in offenses that are moving the ball, and then they're giving the ball to these guys to score. And I can love Quinshon Judkins and love the matchup on paper. Mm-hmm. Like if one running back scores 3 times this week, I would put my money on one of these two.
There probably won't be 3 touchdowns in that game.
Exactly. And so like that to me, they're so far and away the top 2 running backs that it makes me just not as interested in the lower salaried guys. Now, again, I'm not playing because if you plug in JT and Jacobs, and then with the defense,
I've not looked at defense yet. I completely forgot to do that in my salary scroll earlier.
Yeah.
I'm going to put Saints in just because of the wind in that game. No offense to the Bears. It's nothing to do with them. It's just about the wind.
So you get 6,300 left. I mean, the lowest salaried quarterback we talked about was Daniel. I'll even do Jordan Love here and do. Yeah. You get 6,000 left for 3 receivers, a tight end, and a flex. Like that's kind of nice.
I could talk myself into that.
Like,
I think that's worth having a lineup of.
Like, I think that I don't know. I mean, I legitimately think combined, like if you play these two guys, you might get like 52 FanDuel points between them if they have the games that they could have with their workloads. So that again, I'm just coming at it from a perspective of how much I like them relative to these other guys, and every other back is somewhat script dependent or like stack dependent to me, to the point that I don't know. I hope I'm making my point clear. It's like I like these guys, but nobody emerges as like I'm plugging in this guy with a mid-range salary to start my lineups. And
so
to
you
me,
said we have like the same.
What,
you said we have the same mindset, but we're approaching it different ways. I agree with that because I'm willing to filter through those guys, and I don't mind the fact that like, oh, I might get it wrong in the lineup. That's fine to me.
Yeah.
Because like there's no one to me who emerges as being like the guy, but overall there are a lot of guys in that range who could be the guy, and I'm willing to take those swipes because to me it's about the ceiling. To back up your point about these two guys, though, you're looking at my anytime touchdown projections, like most projected touchdowns this week. Jonathan Taylor is 1, Josh Jacobs is 2. Number 3 is not in the main slate. Number 4 is not in the main slate. Number 5 is not in the main slate. Number 6 is not in the main slate. Number 7 is Javonte. Actually, that's kind of interesting. So then it gets back to guys in the main slate. Corey Krosky-Merritt's actually top 10. That's kind of weird. I should probably lower him. That's probably too high. Anyway, but like the separation between them and the field is big. So I like the idea of getting one of them in every lineup. Realistically, though, given I know I'm going to want to have a Dak, CD, Pickens stack, I'm going to have to skip over them at times. But I want to get there in every lineup, and I want to make sure I consciously build that lineup we were just building of Taylor plus Jacobs together.
Yeah, this is probably the most interconnected a slate's been to me, because we're going to talk about receivers here, and we already mentioned 2 guys for the Cowboys with salaries of 8,000 or higher. There's not like a slam. We love those guys, but you say that game's just okay or whatever. You got Justin Jefferson, and like things fall off. So where are you putting your salary? To me, these are the slate busters, these 2 guys. That's why, to me, the rest of the running backs, while good, I got to sell myself on. And I don't think anybody's got this like slate altering upside that these 2 have on the board. So let's keep moving at running back. You mentioned Javonte. Well, any Saquon, Achane, or Dowdle for you?
Saquon, no. Achane, probably not because of the game. Dowdle, no. So I'm just going to skip that tier entirely, personally.
I agree. Achane rates out pretty well, but I'm still not going to do it.
Salary's pretty high for that matchup. Yeah. So then we get to the mid-range, which we talked about quite a bit. So I want to get your just final thoughts on the Javonte Williams on down range. Who to you, like, okay, I know you can't like make anyone a 60% kind of guy, but like when you're trying to get to JT or Jacobs in a lineup, what other players are you most willing to turn to? Probably coming from this range, most likely.
I think Javonte's my RB3.
Okay.
And I'm going to have probably as much Javonte as JT and Jacobs, because I'm not going to play them together every single time I play them.
Yeah.
To me, he stands out because he's got the role and he's in the best game. Judkins over Genty, to me.
I agree, for the record. On that.
Despite the game environment for Judkins, he should handle a lot of work there.
Yeah.
I like Brees. I hate this offense. This is a really dysfunctional situation.
I agree wholeheartedly on both accounts. I like Brees, hate the offense, hate the situation. Don't like the matchup either, frankly. I know. I bet him to score a touchdown like 3 consecutive weeks because of the Braylon Allen injury. I guess 2 weeks, but let's see here. How many times have I bet?
Yeah, and the matchup itself is not quite what you would expect it to be.
I had Brees Hall to score in 3 weeks, 3, 5, and 6, and we're still waiting, bud.
So I'm out on Mason, out on Scattaboo.
Yep.
I like Bill at 66.
Bill or Vidal for you?
Bill in the game.
Okay.
I like Vidal over Swift.
Yeah.
So my top 5 are probably JT, Jacobs, Javonte, Bill, and Vidal.
Okay.
Not necessarily even in order.
What's the split between Taylor and Jacobs for you? If I give you 10, what's the split? Is it 5-5? Well, I guess with overlap in there at times.
Probably about 5-5. Yeah.
Okay. I think I'm in the same place there. I would probably go Vidal one just because of the salary. The more I think about it, the more I want to get to like JT and Jacobs, which means I might wind up having Bill be number 2. Well, no, it's more so influencing where I go. What?
Like what? Like why?
Why
What's
do I want to
putting
get
you
to
on
them?
these guys now?
I was on them before. It's just more so like,
yeah, you're building
I think that my concerns about the lack of value at receiver and concerns about the lack of value at quarterback made me think I'm going to have to go towards these guys, and maybe it's more realistic now.
So I'll try to remember this. We're going to talk about receiver and tight end quickly, defense. I want you to think about. We'll both try to remember this when you're looking at this blank lineup.
Yeah.
Who's the first name you want to plug in?
Okay,
like because I think we got to look through receiver first, but
it might be Dak, honestly.
So that's fine, but then who's second that you want to plug in?
Well, that's the issue. Is it'd be one of his receivers, and they're very high salaried, which makes it tougher to get to JT or Jacobs. And I'm going to want to have one of them in there for like a single lineup, which means I need to put Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt and Kamani Vidal as my top non-stud running backs this week.
Okay, we'll play around with it.
Okay, cool. Loves at running back, JT, Jacobs. I'm going to go with Vidal and Krosky Merritt as my other 2 loves this week.
So that's your top 4 then?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
And you already gave your top 5. So wide receiver, let's go with just these big 3 at the top here. Let's assume CeeDee Lamb plays. How are you viewing Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, and George Pickens this week?
Lamb, Pickens, Jefferson.
Single lineup, are any of them like must-haves for you?
Because I'm going to play Dak, most likely Lamb / Pickens. Yeah. Probably not Jefferson, despite how good he's been.
Yeah.
Despite his situation.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that.
Like, just give me that game environment for the Dallas guys instead.
Getting to the 7,000 range, I think it's not that great at receiver this week. Like, I love Rashee Rice, but outside of that, no one's like calling to me, which helps because again, I need to save salary somewhere, and I can save it potentially at receiver. How are you viewing the 7K range at receiver this week?
Yeah, Rice could be a massive value. And we could look back and be like, remember when he came back and his salary was 7,500 and he got a 37% target share and was great. That's a possibility. Other than that, like, I'm okay with Debo in the right circumstances, okay with Worthy in the right circumstances, but then that's kind of it. And so my point here is like, okay, we love the top 3. I'm assuming, like, where are you with Justin Jefferson?
Same as you.
Okay. You're not going to play, I guess let me ask this. Are you going to have one of those 3 in every lineup?
No.
So you're going to build lineups where you don't have those guys. And you're going to just probably naturally like kind of go down and down and down.
Yeah.
Makes those top 2 running backs a lot more playable.
Yeah. And if I can do it together, that's awesome. But I just, there aren't a lot of like huge value plays this week, which is the bummer. But I think it's still worth it. Still worth it to driver anywhere, frankly.
So that's where I'm coming from is there's like 2 elite, well, I'll say 3 elite receiver plays, but they're still receivers.
Yeah.
And they're not as foolproof.
Yeah.
Like nobody's foolproof.
There's no Puka on this slate. He's like the closest to foolproof, I think.
Yeah. So like by nature, you're going to be able to save salary at receiver.
Yeah.
So
within the 7,000 range for me at receiver, I will be on Rashee Rice for the Mahomes lineups. Probably not going to get there as a standalone play though. Kind of similar thoughts with Debo and Worthy. I do want to make sure I am conscious of the Chargers receivers. I agree with you that like Ladd's salary rose too fast given the workload last week, but had 9 targets overall, 3 in the red zone, and like he's a good football player and it's a good game. As far as Quentin Johnston, 23% target share before the injury. I would need a full by Friday for him because hamstring injuries are not fun, but like I'll get there. They're not priorities. They're not even like, they're like, again, soft likes. So like a soft like for Ladd and QJ. Prefer QJ. He's full by Friday. But then okay with Debo, okay with Worthy, okay with Rice. No one really a priority for me in that range outside of game stacks, though.
Yeah, like receivers, not that fun.
And frankly, even the 6,000 range isn't that great.
Exactly.
So shout out receivers you like in the 6K range. Because I only have 3 that I took notes on, and 2 of those are pretty thin.
I guess Terry.
Yeah. He was the one who was not thin.
Dobbs to a degree, but that's kind of tepid.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you're going to talk to me about Devontae Smith.
I am. And Jordan Addison in that same game. Like,
sure.
Those are the 2 guys I'm like, they're soft likes. They're pretty thin, but like, again, for me, it all comes down to what is your 85th percentile outcome relative to your salary. It's probably best for Addison and Devontae Smith, just because that game is indoors. It's a pretty tight spread, important game for both sides, given the way the divisions are breaking down. Addison, when he's like fully right, can be a 7K player, and Devontae Smith can be like 76. Yeah. So I'm willing to use either guy. I'm not willing to commit to either, but like I'll mix in some mini stacks of those 2 guys paired together, just because like it is an indoor game. There's nothing great at receiver. Might as well take some swings on guys with ceilings, and they do have that.
Yeah.
It's
go ahead. Good.
No, go ahead. You first.
No, it's just the way I feel about running back, despite being so non-committal, is how I feel about receiver, but I feel worse about receiver.
Yeah, I think so too. I agree with that.
I want the guys, to me, the names that I want to talk about are the names that I'm like, again, I'm looking at this blank lineup. Who do I want to plug in? There's like the quarterbacks. There's those 2 running backs. Maybe I talk into like Javonte's close enough that there ain't a lot of like slam dunk.
Is there a love for your receiver?
CeeDee Lamb, assuming that he's, fully good to go.
Okay. I don't have one.
Maybe
Terry.
Probably.
If Terry's full by Friday, he'll be a love for me.
That's fair.
Yeah, but that's about it. Like, there's no loves.
Okay.
I'm growing a bit more fond of Trey Tucker. If the entire slate is thin, like, might as well go for the dude who has put up 40 this year. And like, his role's been better than I think it is, honestly. Like when you just like look at his numbers, like, I don't know why, but for whatever reason, I've kind of just ignored it. 18% target share overall. His deep target share, 29%. We know Gino will let it rip every now and then. And red zone target share is 20%. That's not amazing, but like when they're 11.5 point dogs and might need to throw, I will have some Trey Tucker in Mahomes lineups, but I'm okay with that at least.
Yeah, a lot of money targets for him on the full season.
Yeah.
You'd want the role without Bowers to like get better by target share, but
agreed. If they trade Jacoby or he doesn't play, then I'll be higher on Tucker.
Yeah, Jacoby's still getting high leverage work, just not doing anything with it. So that's kind of a problem. But I agree. He's definitely on the radar. So is Matthew Golden to me as we bump down.
Yeah.
Who
are your 5K highlights at receiver? Actually, let's do 5K or like the 59 and lower, because I think Luther Burden's an option too, and he's in the 4s.
Yeah. Golden's an option.
Mm-hmm.
I've been guessing wrong on when it's Keyshawn Booty week and everything, but he scored twice. He had 5 targets. He's like an explosive football player, but
he gets all downfield targets and they're playing in the wind.
Yeah.
And his salary went up, roster rate to go up. Like that's like, I used him last week. I'm not going to use him this week.
Yeah. Like Pittman's playable.
Mm-hmm.
I still have ceiling concerns.
Yep. Same team.
This is one of the worst receiver slates I can remember.
It's not good.
Which again, I feel like I'm just pounding the drum, but getting the guys I want, I might play Dak without one of the top 2 guys if I have to.
Sure. Like that's fine. Yeah. I get that. You could stack Dak with Javonte. That's fine.
I don't know. Who am I waiting on? Like, is there anybody down here?
Uh-huh.
Does this bump up like Io Manor and Alec Pierce?
If the entire slate stinks, use a guy who can go for $180 on 3 catches. Sorry, on 2 catches. My bad.
That's true. You probably don't one catch.
True. I need to put a lid on my Alec Pierce exposure because I sometimes get a little over enthusiastic about guys of his archetype. But like, he's a good football player. Josh Downs apparently did not practice again today, or was not spotted to practice again on Thursday. So like, Pierce without Downs, like, his role won't change in terms of like, he's going to play the same number of snaps, but like, if you give him a couple of gimme targets paired with his like downfield stuff in a game with a high total and tight spread, like, yeah, I mean, he's Alec Pierce 52. Like, yeah, I'll do it. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like, if I want to go Jacobs with Taylor and I put in Kimani Vidal with an Alec Pierce bring back, like, that's how we get in Jonathan Taylor plus Jacobs and don't hate the rest of our lineup.
Yeah. That's, I think, where I'd net out with Vidal is like, if Vidal's like my RB3,
yeah,
I just like don't want to prioritize him as like the RB1 kind of thing. So
yeah. And then Luther Burton 49, that would be for me only if DJ Moore sits, because they've been ramping up his routes pretty slowly. You were talking about the target per route rate, and we'd want the routes to go up, which would most likely happen if DJ Moore doesn't play. But outside of that, he's kind of the last guy I'm looking at here.
Yeah, it is tricky to build like the Dak, JT, Jacobs, CeeDee Lamb stack. You can do it if you.
Oh. Okay.
You can kind of do it, I guess. Can
All
you do it? 51. You will hate your receiver 3, but so maybe you just play Pickens. But
all right. I saw the number and I got real scared. Oof. Yeah, I might need to go down from might need to go down from Mason Taylor a bit potentially, but it can work. It's not the most outlandish kind of build, I would say that.
You are putting all your eggs in one basket, but you're putting your eggs in the
best basket on the slate.
The 2 backs with the elite workloads and a quarterback in like the best game with a returning guy who is going to have the best workload if he's healthy.
In order to make this lineup work, if I had to use Ja'Tavion Sanders, I could do that. If he gets in a full practice by Friday, I can justify that. So there are ways to make that work, and I'm receptive to it because it's pretty sick.
By no means am I saying that's the best way to build anything.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's doable.
I'll have a lineup. Yeah.
Because receiver itself, like, what are you missing out on? Like, some of these guys are going to pop off. Like,
yeah.
But are you banking on the like Chris Olave and Wind here?
I'm
like
probably banking on Alec Pierce, unfortunatately.
Yeah,
that tells you how bad receiver is. So
it's an ugly slate. Yeah. So who are your loves at receiver?
I don't know, man. I was hoping you forget to ask Terry if he's full by Friday, just because that game is so good. And then, honestly, I'm just gonna let game stacks dictate where my other loves are because I think he's the only actual love. Frankly, it'll be way too much Alec Pierce. More Pittman than I'd like.
Like, I'd rather bank on Alec Pierce as a like throwaway than not getting to as much JT or Jacobs because I was like I think final thing I'll say about running back, because I've been trying to like express how I feel about it. I don't want to build lineups this week where my backs are Kimani Vidal, Bill, and like Quinshon Judkins.
I will have
that's the lineup I want to avoid.
Yeah, I'm gonna have that, but I'd like to get to Jacobs and JT when I can. So,
but like, what do you even spend? Like, that's your, I guess, Dak stack,
Pickens, Lamb.
That's
Terry.
The only scenario. Like, but that's a specific. Yeah. Other than that, like, what do you?
Tyler
you
Warren.
build those running backs. Like, what do you do next?
Tyler Warren. I want Tyler Warren at that point. Like, I would prefer to have one of JT or Jacobs in 90 to 95% of my lineups, but I'll have some where I don't, so I can get to Tyler Warren too. And you can use Tyler Warren with Jacobs or Taylor if you're willing to like go with like a Jaden Daniels plus Terry McLaurin plus Javonte, kind of stack, avoid Pickens and Lamb, and that works. But Tyler Warren's a freak. I love him. So $7,000 is not high enough for him, I don't think, given the red zone work, given the passing game work, given this game. I adore him at 7,000. Like, Trey McBride is an awesome role, and he's only like 0.8 points behind Warren in FanDuel points per game. I'm offended how close those two salaries are, personally. Like, they should not be that close, I don't think.
Yeah, I get it. Actually, no, I think it's fine.
Where are you on Warren this week?
I really like him. I just don't know how often I'm going to get there.
Yeah, I think the running backs are bigger priorities than Warren.
I would agree.
Yeah. Okay. What else do you see in the 6K range at tight end?
I still like McBride.
Uh-huh.
I'm probably like Jake Ferguson could be the mega pivot.
Sure.
He keeps scoring, but I would expect his just role to kind of scale back, and there's no room to miss on that front. Tucker Kraft, I don't think I'm going to get there either. He's had some good yardage.
I have him in the we talked about this stack last week, but Love plus Jacobs plus Kraft, and then just game stack receivers in like Commanders, Cowboys, or something like that. I do that.
So that's like not a primary kind of conversation.
It's like a 10%
there.
Play. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, is Dallas Goedert just going to continue getting the little shovel pass?
It's working.
I know. So why? So Saquon's never going to score again at this rate, because they're either going to just brotherly shove it or just underhand it to Dallas Goedert, and he's going to lock it in. So
yeah. Yep, I think that's.
Should we consider him?
I had him as like a person I wrote down, but because it's frankly just not good at tight end outside of Warren. But I think that's also a reason to spend even less with like a guy like Mason Taylor. I think Kelsey's in play for like Mahomes stacks, but like probably not a standalone play. And then I know I've poo-pooed the idea of most Patriots players, but Hunter Henry's salary is down to 56. He's still got a good workload. He has 18% of the overall targets, 19% deep, 35% in the red zone. Like, I'll go there again. Harold Fannin Jr., 55. We've got some guys. So maybe that's why I'm not as high on Goddard. I'd rather just spend a bit less in order to have more flexibility at running back.
Yeah, I might be a little too low on Goddard.
It's possible. Where are you on Henry, Fannin, and then anyone else in the 5K range?
Prefer Fannin to Henry.
Okay.
The Patriots still will just pick and choose who's the go-to option in a given week.
But at least you have like an actual quarterback.
Yes.
Which is good.
I still like Fannin though,
yeah.
but not out on Henry by any means.
Yeah.
Gadsden would be game stack dependent. Looking out on that 4 p.m. slate maybe. Ertz could just be why didn't we just play Ertz? He scored a touchdown and was fine.
I'm fine with that.
Because his game scored 1 million points.
Same for Michael Mayer, honestly.
But I think Mayer's also in that conversation. So like we have a ton of, it's just so many like tepid, like, yeah, this guy's fine in the right situations, but it just doesn't feel like there's anyone I want to go out and get other than those top 2 running backs, which is why I'm so just like pounding the table for them.
When you put in a Jacobs plus JT lineup, are you putting in Mason Taylor as like your default tight end to kind of like just swing the salary a bit?
Probably.
Yeah.
But I think we could also, you don't have to.
Yeah. I'm very okay with him personally.
Yeah.
But
it's tight end.
He and Warren are my 2 loves at tight end is what I would say.
I think I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So on board of those guys, and then willing to go towards Michael Mayer, Zach Ertz, Hunter Henry, Harold Fannin, maybe some Goddard, but like none of them are like even likes for me. It's more so Warren, Taylor, and then actually Fannin's a like. I lied. Fannin's a like to me.
Yeah. My loves would be Warren, Taylor. I think I'd cut it off as the loves there.
Sure.
The likes being Fannin.
Yeah.
I don't know. I keep going back to Goddard, but probably Fannin would be third.
Okay, cool. Defense, we mentioned the Saints as being an option. They are minimum salary on FanDuel. Again, this is just wind related. Like, I've done studies in the past on like roster rate, perfect lineups and stuff like that. And it shows that the public tends to underrate wind when it comes to defense. They do it from betting perspective too, as your piece showed last week on FanDuel.com/research. Wind matters a lot, and I can save a lot of salary by using the Saints. So I'm willing to go there. It's not an anti-Bears thing. It's just like wind matters, and they're a good way to exploit that. Thoughts for you on the Saints?
Yeah, I got demolished by punting defense last week, but this is at least a logical kind of option.
So you're the goofy picture of I'll bleep and do it again.
Well,
because
punting defense this doesn't feel like a punt. This is like there's going to be some
natural
weird
play. I got you.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Any other defenses?
Punting defense would be playing the Raiders because you can't do anything else.
Yeah.
That's not
Yeah. Okay, I get that. Not in the Raiders, not in the Cardinals, not in the Giants, not in the Titans. Cowboys, I don't mind using defenses in high total games. That's not the right setup for me in that one.
Yeah.
I could see the Jets and Panthers. There's some wind there too.
Yeah, it could be a couple short fields potentially.
Yep. Dolphins also get wind. They stink, but there's a lot of wind there. The Browns offense is not one that I fear. Browns defense against Tua in the wind, that's pretty good too.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to have like a lot of wind teams, frankly, as my defenses, because I don't want to really go above here personally. So to me, it's going to be the Saints. It'll be the Jets and the Panthers, Browns, Dolphins, and I might not use any other defense this week.
Yeah, that might be very similar to that.
Okay. The Saints are my love, though. What could go wrong? Could possibly go wrong. All right. Any final thoughts for you on this Week 7 slate now that we have discussed the whole shebang?
Maybe. Look, I'm still going to keep an eye out for the player props on FanDuel Sportsbook. Maybe I just realize I'm too low on some particular mid-range running backs, but I still feel pretty firm in that I think the difference makers this week are pretty clearly the top two running backs, and I don't want to move off of that. And that's not to say I'm gonna have them in every lineup, but I'm gonna together. But I think I'm gonna have one of them in every lineup I build.
All right. One final point in your favor here. So I mentioned that Corey Krosky merit is probably too high in my anytime touchdown projections.
Yeah.
I have his fair touchdown odds at -110. I have Kimani Vidal at he might be too low. Plus 390? That can't be right.
That can't.
Did I forget to? Okay, well, I got to check these out. This is why they're not published. This is why they're all very personal. But there's a gap. And it's because there's still a chance that Vidal's role is not amazing. Did I mess up something with them? Oh, yeah. Okay. We'll figure that out later. That was wrong. Don't listen to that. Oh, he's plus 170. Sorry. He's plus 170 for me. My bad. But anyway.
But what was the point?
The point is there is a gap down to Vidal, and maybe he's not as strong of a play as I thought he was.
Okay.
So I agree with you.
He still might honestly be RB3. Actually, I put Corey Krosky merit there. I feel like his role is not going to go away.
I'm starting to warm up to that too. Yeah. Of ranking him
but
Vidal.
Yeah. So it's a lot of, I think this week, if you ask me what my final thoughts are, I think it's still, I like those two running backs, but it's all going to be how you build what your individual lineup is building toward is this game's good. So I'm playing these guys in this lineup as opposed to just running an optimizer and playing the best plays. I think you need some correlation this week.
The theme of this week is backs and stacks. And I think that's going to be a fun way to fill things out. Start with those backs you like, put in the stacks, and go from there. Because I think that's going to be the key for me. That is all that we have here for today on the Heat Check. As mentioned, on the FanDuel Football Betting YouTube page, you can find the covering the spread shows previewing NFL Week 7 with Liv Moods from today. Also tomorrow, Aiden Cotter talking props. College Football Week 8 with Ken Padgett already posted. Find that FanDuel Football Betting YouTube page. Subscribe there. Leave us a thumbs up. Turn on notifications. And of course, check out the FanDuel Research podcast feed as well. Brandon, people have questions for you on social media. Where can they find you there?
I'm on X at Gdula13, GDULA13, and on Blue Sky at Gdula.
And I'm on X and Blue Sky at JimSannes, on Threads at Jim.Sannes, and You can find FanDuel Research on X at FanDuel Research. Big thank you to our YouTube producer, Justin Lane, for his work in the video side of things. Thank you, Justin, as always. And thank you to everyone for tuning in. Good luck to you with your DFS lineups and your bets in week 7. We'll talk to you once again next week. This has been the Heat Check, a FanDuel Research podcast.